The guy just has to be mowing right now.
Hey, don't do the 1 minute, 2 minute thing.
You don't want me to do it? Okay.
Like, it distracts me.
Okay.
Easily distracted. As a young child, Martin Luther King Jr. began noticing signs around his neighborhood saying things such as, whites only, no blacks allowed. And he asked his mother why they said things like this, to which she replied, that's just the way it is. Little Martin couldn't help but cry. She reassured him by telling him that he is just as important as any other human being, which is something that he carried with him throughout his entire life. But even at a young age, you could see how Martin Luther King had that passion for what is right and what is wrong. It's that same passion that he used to become one of the most inspirational figures of our time. He's inspirational because he changed the face of the civil rights movement. He's inspirational because he exhibited great perseverance in times of struggle, and also because he was just an ordinary man just like you and I. And what I mean by him changing the face of the civil rights struggle is that before he came along, the rhetoric among blacks towards whites was to be violent towards them, and it was led by people such as Malcolm X and the Black Panthers, who encouraged violence towards white people. Well, Martin Luther King saw this, and he saw that there was no progress in this area. And in his learnings, he had learned about Mahatma Gandhi and his nonviolent protesting. And in a book, and actually in Martin Luther King's autobiography, he states, I had come to see early that the Christian doctrine of love operating through the Gandhian method of nonviolence was one of the most potent weapons available to the Negro in his struggle for freedom. And you see this changed the face of the civil rights movement because nonviolent protesting, it required people to come together on one accord. It required people to act as one. So it brought the Negroes together at the time. But you see, the act of nonviolence protesting is actually tough. It's hard because it requires patience and it requires perseverance, which Martin Luther King exhibited greatly throughout all of his protests. A great example would be in the Montgomery bus boycott, where towards the end of the bus boycott, which was very successful, he received a call saying, nigger, you don't get out of town, we're gonna blow up your house, we're gonna shoot you in the face. Martin Luther King was shook. He was shook deeply by this. In an award-winning book by Tanya Bolden, she quotes Martin Luther King as saying, I am standing up for what I believe is right, but right now I'm afraid. I am at my power's end. At this moment you can see that Martin Luther King was he was down, and he was actually about to just give up the whole bus boycott. But instead he kept moving on, kept moving forward. But in 3 days his house was bombed. And when he arrived on the scene to notice his house, there was hundreds of people outside of his house donning weapons, ready to go for war. And he could have told them all, let's do this, let's retaliate. But instead, he looked at him and told them, go home and pray for the person who did this. Now, some of Martin Luther King's acts can be seen by some other people by all people as heavenly or godlike, because he almost seemed unscathed, that he was perfect. But it was quite the contrary, actually. Martin Luther King was just an ordinary human being, just like you and I. But you see, just like any other ordinary human being, we all make mistakes, and Martin Luther King did the same thing. It was actually found later that Martin Luther King actually plagiarized his dissertation for college. And it's stated by Sam Fullwood. He quotes an English professor named Claiborne Carson from Stanford, saying that he had discovered that King's dissertation was based on a thesis written by another Boston University student named Jack Boozer. But you see, even though Martin Luther King did plagiarize his work, it just goes to show how much of a human being he was and how much he is like us. He has faults just like we are, which should inspire us to do great things just because we're just like he is. In Dr. King's last day before he died, he gave a speech, one of his more famous speeches called The Sermon on the Mount, in which he states, I have seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I assure you that we as a people will get there someday. And he was right. He wouldn't see the promised land with other people. But what he did was inspire others to act, to move forward and act just like as he did. And he inspired them because he changed the face of the civil rights movement, and he exhibited great perseverance through times of struggle, and he was just an ordinary man, just like you and I.